guys. I'm so excited because today is the first ever of this kind. We're doing a podcast, filmy. I don't know what this is. It's like a fusion of all multimedia experiences. I'm super excited too because I'm here with my ladies, and gosh darn, have I had an amazing time so far. Just to introduce y'all, probably one of my favorite people in the entire world. I would definitely say you paved the way for me coming into the beatboxing community. Is MC Beats, aka Megan.
What's up, everybody?
Megan, Megan's in an amazing acapella group called Stiletta. And recently, what was the show called? You were just on a CW competition show.
The Christmas Caroler Challenge.
So cool, and you crushed it. So amazing. Next down the line, we got my girl. Is she nice? I think so. You just came in top 4, right?
Yeah.
Of tag teams with your partner in Nice Cats, right? And been putting out crazy content. Also in the acapella world as well, right? What's your acapella group?
Vice.
So definitely be on the look out for that. My girl over here, top 4 in the world, eh? Hey, me and you went head to head. It was very fun. I love my girl. Also, you've been dropping Verver. I didn't say it. Verver, my good friend, top 4 in the world for females. You've been dropping some amazing like loop station tracks, and you've been putting stuff out on Spotify, right? Where can people find that?
Got an album called Confessions of an Empath.
Ooh,
it's on Spotify, iTunes,
stream
all
that.
shit.
Yeah, wherever you can find it, go get it. And last but not least, my amazing friend, she just became a Beatbox House Party champion, right?
Oh, that was
Whatever. Hey, let's go. Also, New York City staple, I would say. You're performing all over the place. Can you tell us a bit about that show that you're doing right now?
Oh, yes. Well, right now I'm collaborating with a comedian called Chris De La Cruz. He's really amazing, and we are improvising a late night show, and I get to be the house band, the one-woman house band. We do it every month, usually on the 3rd Saturday at the Magnet Theater. It's really, really fun. It's called Mad Late because we mad late.
Make some noise for AirLoom, everybody. Cool. I, of course, am Kaila Mullady. I've done things, and I'm here to do it again.
2-time world champion. She's worthy of her own introduction.
BM.
We gotta hype her up because she can't hype herself.
Whatever.
2-time beat rhyme champion, American
3.
Beatbox.
Yeah. Okay, wait. I have a question because I feel like all of you ladies have dabbled in the acapella world, and that's something that I'm not familiar with. So raise your hand if you've done acapella. Okay, everybody, if you're listening, raise their hand except for me. So I have a question. Like, do you ladies, where do you label yourself? Do you call yourselves VP? Do you call yourselves beatboxers? Do you feel that you're very different than the other like beatboxers and VP when you go into the acapella community? Like, what's that like?
I guess I'll start. So I consider myself a beatboxer, although you'll see in a lot of the awards it says vocal percussionist. But when I talk about myself and when the group mentions me, I'm the beatboxer of the group. When I originally started, 7 years ago was when we started Stiletta, there wasn't many beatboxing in the acapella community. And as I've gone on and gone to more competitions, it's really been evolving. So even the vocal percussionists are now starting to take over more than just the percussion role, and they're adding into the sound effects. So I think there's been a fusion of the genres happening, especially more recently.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I guess going off on that, I also started beatboxing VP 7 years ago in my high school a cappella group.
Hey.
And I consider myself a VP back then because I was just doing basic drum kit noises. But then when I entered the competitive beatbox scene and started becoming more of a beatboxer and labeled myself that way, I started bringing those sounds to my acapella group. I've been in like a bunch, but like my most recent one, like I said, was Vice Acappella. And like we all consider me like the beatboxer of the group because like especially in some of our songs, I'm incorporating like dubstep drops like you are as well.
Yeah.
So we're definitely like the beatboxer, and then we're still winning the VP awards because they don't have like a beatboxer award versus a VP award, but yeah.
Probably hard to win a VP award against someone who's doing dubstep drops and stuff.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. But yeah, it's an exciting time to like bring beatboxing to like the acapella world and like showing everyone what voices can do.
Yeah. As for me, acapella was my introduction into beatboxing. Mm-hmm. I knew nothing about beatboxing before I entered into an acapella group because I love to sing. And I was getting really tired of the musical theater groups. So I was like, I saw this other acapella group, the Orphan Sporks. I went to Rutgers University. We have great acapella groups there. And I auditioned for the co-ed groups where they usually have a stronger male beatboxer, and I didn't get into any of them. But it turns out that getting into the all-female acapella group really worked out for me because there was a real need for a strong beatboxer, especially because we were the type of female group that didn't want to do just pop music. We were going for like harder rock music. We were attempting very like abstract arrangements. So we really needed to have a strong beatboxer for that. And that's what inspired me to be like really good, because I learned one song which was like super basic, like
Hey, come on.
like that was it.
Oh,
Then it went to like toxic, like boom, boom.
Baby, can't you say?
Yeah, boom. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm doing like doing
Hey.
complete rock music. Within 2 weeks, I saw the transformation of the art form, and I was like, yo, how far can we push this? If I could get this good in 2 weeks, where would I be in 10 years? And apparently I'm here with all of you guys.
Yeah.
There you
Verver,
go.
what about you? When was the switch from, because you started in acapella, right?
No. I actually started when I was beatboxing when I was 11,
Uh-huh.
and then I got into acapella when I was like 15. So how I see it is a vocal percussionist is like very confined. Like I was in a group at one point where they gave me very specific instructions of where they wanted me to take the song. So they're like, just do this beat and keep it. Don't do like
Yep.
fills or anything,
Yep.
just keep it. So I was like, all right, I'm a VP right here because I'm being instructed. I feel like I'm the drum kit and they're hitting me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I was in another group where they're just like, you have the skill set. I would trust in you. Do what you want. And then I was like, finally, I can beatbox. I can express it. I can be more individualistic in what I want to do. So, yeah, it was kind of a different balance. But I would say beatboxing in acapella is the best.
Yeah, and like
Mhm.
Chris and Jean, right? They just won
Oh,
the
acapella
acapella
international
Open, yeah.
championship.
Beatboxers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think for a
Absolutely.
beatboxer, it's kind of one of those things where we just are like, duh, why wouldn't you keep adding? Like once you
Yeah.
get the drum kit, it's like it only makes the acapella group stronger. You know, if you could do
If
like
you can do like
overtones,
bass
or
sound. Yeah, exactly.
if you're doing
Yeah.
sub and there's like 16 people doing like a
Yeah.
choir, like
Yeah.
that's some like end of the world apocalyptic beautiful madness.
Well, that's one thing that I notice, and I guess if we're talking about the difference between vocal percussion and beatboxing, it's kind of building off of what Verver said. Like, if you're vocal percussion, you're there to support the group.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a beatboxer, you're like, I can blow the roof off of this place
I don't
with
need
my stuff.
anybody.
Yeah, it's like you would take too much attention away from the group. Whereas with an acapella group, it's all about the blend. If the blend isn't there, then it's just not even worth it.
And I've actually seen that happen where there's been like incredible beatboxers, but they've overpowered it, the singers, and it doesn't become beautiful anymore. So there's this like
Yeah.
balance that you have to kind of
Yeah.
learn. And like even particular groups, I've subbed for different groups than my own, and like I've had to change my sound a little bit to make it match their blend. So a lot of things you have to play with
Or
within an
even
acapella.
also with like beatboxing, and that's important like in the rankings for competitions, but also in acapella groups. Like the VP's main like priority is keeping the tempo, staying in the pocket. And I've seen some VPs trying to beatbox that are like trying to throw in as many sounds as they can and be impressive and take the attention away from the group, but in turn they're like messing with the tempo, and it's like they don't end up winning the VP awards at competition.
It becomes distracting.
distracting, and they just lose the groove.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's like step 2 in learning a sound. Step 1 is just like, how do I get the sound? And then you find it one day and you're like, oh my God. And then you have to be able to keep just getting the sound out like whenever you want to. But then the second part is, okay, I learned my sound. Now I have to be able to flow with it. And I have to be able to do like with the or like you have to be able to go from each sound into it to flow. And that's like definitely something, difficult. So what was it like then? Especially like, you were in the beatboxing world, but I'm sure you started when you were 11.
I started when I was 11, and then I found the community when I was 12 on Human Beatbox.
Oh my God.
Yeah, real early, real fresh.
What was everyone's like experience coming into the scene? Because we all came in kind of different generations, so.
I can tell you. I'm also like a singer. That's my big thing. I was studying like classical vocal performance in college. So that was my big thing. And I was singing in my acapella group, like beatboxing on like 1 or 2 songs and like the whole show kind of thing for my college acapella group. And then I guess I came across Hershey. Shout out to Hershey on Instagram. And then I went to Machine Nightclub in Boston, and she was DJing. And I was like totally fangirling. And then I went up to her. I was like, oh my God, I follow you. You're so cool. I'm also a female beatboxer. She was like, no way. Oh my God, let me add you to the Boston Beatbox group chat.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. I think I was a sophomore, junior at the time, maybe sophomore. I don't remember what year. And then they were doing a hangout, and I was like, okay, let's go. So I went to Boston. She wasn't there, but I met Alex P. and Joe Wheatley and a bunch of other Decoy, I think, was there, and I was like, this is super cool. We were like, ciphering and stuff, and it was really fun, like passing the beat, playing games, teaching me some sounds. And they were like, they actually took a video of me for the Boston Beatbox Instagram, which actually then in turn like blew up for like what the follower account was. And then next thing you know, they had the Smash Sounds competition. And I was going to be in New York that summer for my internship. And I think it was Alex P that was just like, get on stage, do like an elimination round. And I was like, okay. So my first competition, I got on stage.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like embarrassed to watch it now because of how much I've grown since then.
Because cringe is always there when you look back at old videos.
Once you get into the scene, you just, exponentially get better. But yeah, I got on stage. I was like, this is really fun, and this community is really amazing. And then here I am,
That's so awesome.
But that was honestly really recent. Like, I was just kind of like the once in a while beatboxer of the group. I really just knew Boots and Cats, So.
As we all start that way.
Oh, yeah.
What about you, Megan? Because I feel like now there's many of us, but I feel like when you started, like, who were the prominent ladies that were
Julia Dale, she was from Canada.
Yeah. The Justin Timberlake, was that it? When she's in the back of the car? Like,
Yeah, the car video.
Yeah.
Was Butterscotch in the scene with you?
She was, yes. She went to the World Championships before all of us.
Yeah, she won. She was the first she was like the first champion we had and the first world champ and everything.
Yeah.
She's sick.
Lucky Monkey. She was
Yeah,
around.
Lucky Monkey.
Shout out to her.
Am I just really young?
You miss a little
bit.
Yeah, but you're in now. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
I only know about Lucky Monkey because of Tyra Banks, and Lucky Monkey thought she could challenge Butterscotch, and she couldn't. Let's just leave it there. You can look up the video yourself.
They're both dope, though. Lucky Monkey's
They're
dope.
both dope.
Yo, talk about real power couple. Her and Fat Tony,
Yes.
married, have a
Fat
baby.
Tony.
That's a
They
power
have two
couple.
They made a
babies.
beatbox book. They made like a
Did you see-
children's beatbox book.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yo, there's a video from the first baby where he has the girl in his arms and he's going, and I swear this little like 6-month baby is going, but it was moving like she
I'm
was
trying to teach
losing.
my cousin right now. My little
It
baby
was
cousin.
insane. I was like, oh my God, that's the future. Like that is the next champion of the world. No,
They could definitely make. They train them young.
right? Start
It'd be
now.
amazing.
Some Olympic sport. Yeah, I feel like for me, when I came in, you had a huge, like, we're both from Long Island. We'd hang out like J Flo and Amit and stuff. But seeing how the scene reacted to you, like you were so respected and everyone was like, yo, look, ladies can beatbox, the beatbox queen. And like all your videos just got so much love. And I feel like for me, that made me so much more comfortable coming in and doing stuff because I feel like you like cut through the jungle or really far away for me to just kind of sneak in behind you. So thank you for that,
Yeah,
man.
thank you so much for that because it was nerve-wracking. I didn't really see females battling so much. Like I saw the YouTube videos and like they went to maybe attend the events and stuff, but I didn't really see battling so much from females. So that's really awesome to have that because I was a nervous wreck.
Really?
Getting up there battling.
No, it was awesome. And Julia, right? Track 9, she made it in.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen
Was
her
there
in a
anyone
while.
else in our competition who made it in? We had Julia, we had Track 9. Did you make it in?
Not to the Americans, no.
Yeah. What did you do? You did New England, right?
In England, I did the World Champs back in 2012 and 2015.
Yeah. How did that change from now, like the last World Champs that you went to?
What do you mean? How
Like,
did it change?
how has the scene changed? What was it like in 2012 when you
Oh my
went? What was it
goodness,
like now?
2012, it was crazy. There was maybe 3 or 4 of us from America that went there. And then I guess in 2015, there was like a mob of us, people
Yo,
holding
that
the
was
flags.
crazy.
And there was like, I don't even know, 30, 40, somewhere
yeah,
around there.
2018, we had like 35 people. You went.
That was crazy.
Yeah, yo.
Yeah.
That was
From
crazy.
First, it was only
3
8 of us going, USA, USA. And then it was 40 people like, USA.
Yo,
It
we
was
got so
insane.
hyped.
That was fun.
And honestly, at that point, I was basically like repping the Great North because even Canada, they're like, we don't have anybody to send. They started hiring me or sending me over to judge their battles and
Yeah.
stuff because there wasn't, there wasn't Sparks then.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting to see the growth of the American community, especially people being able to travel and coming. And it was much more comforting to me in 2015 to have the family be
Yeah.
around and be kind of on my own solo and not everybody knows the language. And you
in
could
2012, there was really like nobody who went.
No,
Because
it
the
was
Beatbox
very
House,
small.
we didn't go until 2015.
Yeah.
So it's like, Sung Beats? No. Who went? Frisco went? and Heaven,
It was
right?
Frisco and Heaven, yeah.
Whoa, so it's literally like 3 of you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, our scene has definitely like grown in such a
Absolutely.
short period of time, you know?
Mhm.
Like the ladies, it's so cool. Like today was so much fun.
It was so
It
fun.
really
So
was.
we have been here for a few hours. We filmed a bunch of videos today, both solo and a dope collab. Just kidding. We didn't do anything. No, but it was just so fun. It's definitely a different energy when it's just like the ladies in the beatboxing scene.
We were just talking
hanging
about
out
that
and
before,
chilling.
yeah.
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 Well, what do you guys think is like the difference?
It feels more, I don't know, like relaxed, a little bit more relaxed. Just to talk about like how we were saying in like ciphers, it's beatboxing is so particular because the feminine and masculine energy, like they gotta meet, they have to meet. Otherwise, you know, say if we're beatboxing together and you're taking the masculine energy, you're taking the beat, you're the driving force. You got to leave room for other things to kind of flow in between. There's got to be like the melody. There's got to be some background parts. But if you're too dominant in that, then you're taking everything, and it's hard to work together. You're not
Yeah.
meshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and I think we find that a lot like in the jams when we're jamming with the men. It's a particular balance. There's lots of
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like
personalities.
Yeah.
I'm less intimidated when I'm like just jamming and just like making up stuff.
yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
just feel like I'm maybe a little more respected in that space.
I agree. Like there's always been like respect in the scene for the girls who come in, I think. I've always felt really respected. But then when it's beatboxing, it's different. It's like, I must crush you with these beats,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I noticed that we were talking about the evolution and the change when I graduated college, and I was like, I want to keep beatboxing, but I also want to sing. That's when I started going to the events. And the first event I went to was actually Kid Lucky's Human Beatbox Festival at the La Mama Experimental Theater. And that's when I first saw Kaila, and she absolutely blew my mind because what she was doing to me was like, I was like, how is she breathing? This is impossible. And then it took me like a couple years to stop fangirling when I hung around Kaila. But anyway, that's a
Now
different
we're
thing.
best friends.
But yeah, when I go to the events and I go to the battles, I would just be like, like I would just feel like my brain is being berated by the same rhythms, the same beat, all this technicality, and there's never any space. There's never the opposite. But now, I think it's much different because I think that, for instance, Gene is really emphasizing more melodic, longer tones. And like Chris is also creating like balance even within his own routines. He'll like have a ton of technicality and then he'll learn how to bring it back. So I think that like, and you guys can disagree. I feel that maybe in the beginning, beatboxing was more like, I have to go like Super Saiyan, and now I think people are a little bit more intentional with what they're creating, and they're now making like pieces that feel like more
compositions,
well-rounded.
yeah.
Yes,
Well, that was like all of 2012. Like if you look at the battle scene, it was just how fast can you go?
Well,
Yeah.
both Bulgaria won, both female and male that year, and it was a very much technicality.
Yeah, but then when you go to Bulgaria, the way that they talk, like if they're ordering a cup of soup, they're like, I'm like, well, you're cheating. You didn't even, you literally just did a monologue. Like you weren't beatboxing. Like their language is the same.
It is though. They told me that. Yeah.
But that's why, like, you know, we are so lucky here because the mentors that we have, like, I don't know how well you guys know, like, Baba or D-Cross or anything, but they really instilled in us, like, Kid, right? Like, Kid Lucky, like, the Human Beatbox Festival was not about a competition. It was about everybody coming, and it's all about art. So it's like whatever you want to do is what you do. Like, I met Mark there for the first time, and he literally, when he went up, he did this thing where he had, like, a weird scarf on, and he was like, Zappa-tappa-kappa-bwa. Zappa-kappa-pwa-pwa-pwa-pwa.
And then you felt
I remember
Yeah,
that
you're like, I'm
style. I
hooked.
remember
Yeah.
that.
Well, I definitely, like, I went home and I told my friend, I was like, there was this guy yesterday, and, like, I don't know, he did some weird shit, but, yeah, so it was all about just, like, how creative can you be, and, like, Kid in them, or, like, Rahzel, like, he'll tell you stories. Back in the day, if you were, like, Rahzel, and he would literally go from town to town, and he'd be like, who's your best beatboxer? And then he would battle that person. If, let's say, the sound that I, like, made, if I, like, we battled one day, and then, like, 3 months later, I came back, and Arabelle was doing you would punch them in the face. Like, it wasn't a family at all. The family only really got created, I feel like, around the time of the Human Beatbox Festival and when we went to Midwest. But back in the
Midwest
day,
really sealed it.
Midwest definitely sealed it. But memories all alone. Yeah, but I feel like it was way more creative. And, you know, remember it was like 2012 when Rahzel was a judge, and he was literally like, for some reason, this was the champs that after each round the judges were allowed to speak. So I think it was Korean
Oh my
Effects
gosh.
and Rahzel and Butterscotch,
Yeah.
and Rahzel was just like, yo, talking smack about everybody. And he's like, what's your name? You sound the same. He'd be like, you sound exactly the same as each other. Yo, he was going in, literally, and then he stood up and he was like, I'll battle anybody right now. But he was like mad at our scene because he's like, why do you guys all sound the same? And I feel like, you know, with the Beatbox House, like when we really came together, like that was the whole thing, is like, how do you make music? And America used to be the worst. Like everyone used to make fun of us and be like, oh, it started there, but you guys can't go or like whatever TK patterns were like the most popular.
Yeah.
But I think that was like a really big wave of like the Beatbox House generation, like taking beatboxing and making it more about songs, you know? Like that's the thing, people used to talk smack about me all the time because they're like, singing is not, you can't sing in
I still
beatbox.
get that,
You can't sing, it's not the same. And now everybody is doing full compositions. I'm like, oh, you're all beat rhyming now? The thing that you told me I shouldn't do? The thing you told me? Oh, but it's okay because now a guy's doing it? Now it's an art form? Okay, I see. I see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, like, that was one thing that I noticed when I first started coming into the scene. It's like, obviously, like, the second I saw Kaila, it was not just Kaila. It was like Kaila, Kenny, Mark, Buffalo, Chris, Amin. Like, all of these beatboxers, I was like, they are so good. It would take me years to get that good. And then by the time that I get that good, where the hell are they going to be? They're going to be even better. I'm like, I'm literally never going to catch up to them.
You're
But
gonna
then
be neat.
something clicked in my head. Like, I don't need to be like them. I don't need to sound like them. It's all about how you swag the sounds. And that's why I'm all about that swag.
Okay. Fashion designer over here. If you need anybody to come get your shoot looking good, you hit up Airbud. No, I think that honestly for me was the worst thing I ever did in my life. Like back in like 2014, 15, when I was getting so much hate that literally there was an article that had to say stop the Kaila hate because I was just a bandwagon of no matter what I did, the singing, don't add words.
Everything.
She sucks.
Her
Like,
eyes won't close. Things like that. I'm like,
yeah, because
what?
I'm an
let this girl
apparition.
live.
I died 25 years ago. Okay, that's why. No, I like got into such this flow. When I used to perform, I would like black out. Like I'd be so in like a creative flow. I'd literally go and be like, give me a word. I don't know if you remember. I'd be like, give me a word. And then I would just vamp for like 15 minutes. And then I started getting all these like comments and these things. And it was like, my brain went into like ego mode where, especially for a woman, right? Because at that point it was like me and Penchikata, right? And it was like, oh, you don't think a girl can do that? You don't think a girl can do throat bass? Okay. Oh, you don't think a girl can do a lip roll? Okay, I'm gonna learn that. Like I got into such a place where I like put the pressure of the world on me to be like,
Literally.
if you don't think a woman could do it, I will do it.
Yeah.
And it put me in such a bad place, like mentally and artistically. And I didn't realize it until I did the 2015 Grand Beatbox Battle thing, where I had my elimination, and it wasn't like bad, but like, you know me, like my real style is weird. It's not like a battle style. It gets into weird, glitchy places. And I just remember afterwards just being like, I didn't like black out. You know what I mean? Like I was so aware that I was in the moment. And even Alem afterwards was like, that was good, but that wasn't like a Kaila performance. Like that wasn't you at all. What were you doing? And I rewatched it and I was like, wow, that was me trying to like put the world on my shoulder and I got so wrapped up in like all the hate and like trying to prove all these guys wrong that it put me so far away from myself. And then that was the moment where I was like, okay, I have to somehow like get back on my track. And it's like a slow process. And I feel like I'm still like refinding out who I am through there. So it's like, it's hard because I think one thing that we have that like the guys don't have, right, is if like Gene wants to do a chill beat, Kenny wants to do just a chill like they're like, whoa, that was cool. They were doing a chill beat. They definitely have more than that, but like that's all they're showing. But if I want to go they're like, oh, that's every sound that she showed me in that moment is only sounds that she can
That's
do.
what they're assuming, yeah.
That's what they assume. So it's like you have to go full out, but then when you you go full out, they're like, well, that's not very ladylike. Or she seems like a biatch, you know what I'm saying? Or like,
get back in the kitchen.
I think-
literally.
Yeah.
Like,
BBK literally told me that.
But
on
can she
stage.
make a sandwich?
yeah.
Actually-
Like, can you make a sandwich?
Like, can she
don't
make a
don't worry about
sandwich?
my skills. I can eat. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm getting really sassy.
No, how do you feel? Because definitely times have changed. I feel like, you know, the recent thing with like the Swiss beatbox thing was a little bit like a kick, but I think it's been like going up. And how do you feel like it's changed, or has it changed since when you first come in the scene as like a female to now? Like, what have you seen change? Has it changed? What have you noticed in the community and just like, you know, worldwide, I guess?
I don't know that I've noticed that much of a difference. I feel like there's some people who are really, really respectful, and some communities that are really, really respectful, and some organizers who are really respectful, and then especially the online community that don't even attend events. They've been kind of nasty, and they kind of stayed with the nasty comments.
They're like, toxic. That was the worst. Toxic.
The only community that I have to say is, in generally, can be nasty to everybody. It's not just females.
Yeah.
They're
No,
kind
that's
of
just their
bullies
thing. Yeah.
online.
It's like the internet troll culture.
I do feel like overall organizers are trying to be more respectful of women, though. I do see that overall.
Yeah.
I think because I feel that I've been participating in this scene not only as like a beatboxer, but also like as a hip hop artist in New York. So like I'll go to the cyphers, and I personally, I like to hang out with the MCs because they actually leave space for me in the battles. I can like, or not in the battles, in the cyphers. I can go and cypher with these MCs and they won't question my beatboxing at all. But when I'm beatboxing with the other beatboxers, it's like, it is like who can stomp out who, or at least that's the way I feel.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's what I'm saying.
the guys that are in the cypher, they're total sweethearts, and I don't think that that's what they're actually doing, but in a way they're doing that with their sounds.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating.
I've noticed more women, and I've noticed guys really, I think, enjoying the presence of the girls in a respectful way and really encouraging us to come in. But also just like my involvement in the community has changed. I've been, I sort of had my, myself wearing a whole bunch of different hats, you know, being a singer, trying to act, and beatboxing. And then I was like, let me just focus on beatboxing. And then when I went to Europe and I started to experience what it's like to beatbox abroad and like what it feels like to be abroad and to meet the global beatbox family, it's a major shift for me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's really incredible to see how many similarities that we have and like how we sort of click without even realizing like, whoa, like we don't even speak the same language, but right now I really feel connected with you. And that's a beautiful thing that I always share with my students as I bring them into beatboxing. I'm like, it's like you being you is what we need, and then you'll see that you can connect with others. I mean, but it always does feel a little different for me. It does feel a little different for me because there's just less diversity abroad. And I start to really feel that when I go abroad because, I mean, like, I'm sure it's not a news flash to say that Europe isn't made for Black people. And, like, just having my hair messed up just messes with my whole mood when I'm out there.
I remember you telling me that after you got back, you called me and you were like, yo, not only was I the only female, I was the only Black person there.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
It can feel like a lot of pressure. Like I have to be here representing my race, you know, but then I have to take the pressure off. Just like you, like you're like holding all that, you're holding yourself to the high standard. You got to just kind of like move away from that. But I would say the biggest difference from the beginning of my involvement in this community to right now is just having a richer, more inclusive community. And I'm really happy to see the way that D-Nice is really representing, like bringing this into the electronic music styles. And she's like very much focusing on that. Whereas I'm sort of like, I find grounding, like really pushing these hip hop principles and feeding community that way. And I love that there's space for all of that in this community.
Yeah. One question that we got some questions online that people would ask. So Trippy from California, big up to Trippy, I love him. He actually asked, and maybe Verver or Megan, you guys can take this. Do you ever feel the weight and the pressure when you're competing of knowing like maybe I'm the only woman or I'm the woman on stage right now with the group? Like, does that ever affect your performance in a way? Do you feel that when you go on stage? Feel free to, chime in too.
Oh, I mean, as you know, I was the only female competitor in the latest American Beatbox Champs because somebody dropped out. So yeah, it honestly felt like a big honor. Like I went on stage and like you announced I think it was you and Hershey or whatever. You're like, this is D-Nice, she's the only female competitor, and everyone was cheering, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Because I feel like at that point I've developed my brand enough that people know who I am.
Yeah.
So people were cheering and they were like, yeah, D-Nice, like, yeah, the only female. And I was like, wow, like, you know, I have support here in the space. Whereas, like, I don't know if I'd say the same when I first entered the scene, but not because I'm a woman, but because no one knew who I was. They were like, who is this random girl that showed up, you know?
Mhm.
But now people know who I am, and it's just, I feel that support. So, and even from my, you know, my male, you know,
Yeah,
counterpart.
that's a good point to bring up. It's kind of like entering the community. You're kind of like, oh no, I'm like a female here with all these guys, but
Yeah.
you're just like, they're looking at you like she's just new. And then like once they get used to you, you really do start to feel a
and
part
they
of the
become your
family.
fans.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah. What do you think, Megan?
Well, I definitely feel back when I first started, I felt more of the weight of my shoulders having to represent females. I don't feel that now because I see more and more of you getting up there and doing it. So for me, it's actually less weight, I feel. I do remember the comments in the past that were kind of hurtful because I have beat men, and the questions I would hear behind me or to me, you know, do you think it's because you're a female? Did they go easier because you're a female? And like you would hear that all the time. I'm like, well, did they? Is that why? You know, so I start thinking those types of things. But as far as the weight being on my shoulders, you've helped take that off a little bit. Thank you so much. But yeah, the community, there's some that are so supportive. I had one person who was like, he shouldn't have underestimated you, you know, like that kind of thing. And that feels good. But when you get questioned, you know, is it because you're a female that you won? Like that hurts. Yeah. Would they actually, is it because you're shorter? Is that why you won?
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't ask those things to a man, you know?
I hope to see more of that. I think we're getting, or not more of that. I hope to see less of that and more of like, I have people coming up to me like, yo, Arabelle, I want to see you go off. Like, they're really like saying like, yo, like let's do something. Like, let's get it because I want to see what it's like when you're like beasting.
Battle mode.
You know?
I think just the U.S. and probably the Canadian scene, I would say, in general, from when I've started, it really did feel like I was like a female. But then again, you know, you're just getting your name out there. People are getting to know you. But now that there are such a big percentage of female representation in the U.S. and Canada, a lot of
Mexico
the
now,
guys,
too.
Yes, and Mexico too. The guys are just more like at first it felt I was a female beatboxer, but now it's just like, oh, that's just Verver. Like, that's just Arabelle. Like, they're used to it more because they experience it a lot more. Whereas when I went to Europe, everyone was like, I felt like I was a female. I was very, very aware that I was a female everywhere I went. Every time I was beatboxing.
They even say like female.
Yeah.
Like they'll put the word female.
Yeah.
Like here, I feel like it's so open and like it definitely wasn't like that at first. Like I feel like, you know, the first battle that I did, like I was the first girl to beat a guy in the national battle. And at first, like people were razzing him a little bit. But then as more like battles got won and stuff, at first it was like, you lost to the girl. And now it's like our guys are like, yeah. Like if a guy loses to a girl now, it's like, what do you mean? Like our girls are dope. Yeah. And like our guys here are really proud. We're like, yeah, our girls can battle with us. Like they're sick. Yeah. You know, when you go to Europe, like that is, and I would love your opinion on this too, because people always ask me this question and I'm like, I'm not the representative of women. I can't answer this. Like I will never speak on behalf of girls, but I think that going to Europe and coming here, there's a different vibe. I feel like it feels more like a mixed family here. And like you said, the guys are supportive, like, no, go off. Like, beat him. Like they're telling you like, go ahead, go off, beat that guy.
Tag teams too.
Yeah. When you go to like Europe, it feels very clear, but they're like, oh, she's a female beatboxer. Well, they'll literally say like, oh, the female. Yeah. Oh, she's a good female beatboxer. I'm like, what are you talking about? So like for me, people always ask like, oh, should we segregate and should we not segregate? And like, luckily I didn't, you know, Chesney and like Kid and the people who came before us, like they made that choice for us to come into that. But people from around the world will always ask me like, oh, should we keep it separated? Can we do this? And I'm like, well, I can't speak for your ladies. You need to go talk to your ladies in your community. But I feel like it is like different here. Like the vibe is different. You know, now North America, talk about a change. North America is the only continent in the entire world where men and women battle each other. DZ and I'm going to kill myself for not knowing, but 2 girls made it into Mexico. You know, Sparks made it into the top 16. This girl, DZ, have you heard of her? No. Oh my God. Yo, DZ in Mexico is a beast. We had the 2 years ago. She made it in the last 2 years. Top 32 elimination like it is here. She made it into the top 16. She went up against this guy, Grizzly, who is like, imagine Kenny times 3, just like, like so hard energy. And she was just like right there with him. And oh man, it was such a sick battle. even Kimmy, right? The UK just opened up this year.
I love Kimmy.
They just opened up and made it mixed, and then what happened? Kimmy made it into the top 4.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. You know how I feel. I'm like girl power through the roof, and I'm always trying to keep it open. But how do you feel about that? Like, would you ever want it to have a separate category here, or?
I have thoughts on this. I appreciate that we do not segregate in the United States. I feel that if the females wanted to have an event, it would be because we organize the event. It's ours. It's not like you have your own thing. It's like, oh, no, we have our own thing. And that would help me out because, like, I've been camera shy. I see what happens to Kaila and D-Nice, and I'm like, ooh, I'm not trying to make a video. People are really going to come and get at me, you know? So, like, my confidence isn't there yet. But if there was a place where we could have moments like we had today and we can cipher and battle among other females, it could help build that female presence, and then they can go to the nationals or go to the worlds and compete with the men with the skills that they've learned. I think that that's basically like the biggest thing that's happened for me is like it's so easy for guys to like group with guys, but trying to be like a lone female, trying to like wedge their way in. Sometimes they don't know what to do with you. And I don't think it's like they're like, oh, female, she's below us. I think that a lot of these guys are just like young and immature, and they're just nervous around girls, so they don't know how to act, you know, and that's forgivable, you know, but like I think that our young female beatboxers deserve to have that sort of community as well, and to feel safe that they're not going to get, you know, criticized by guys that are actually trying to flirt with them, just failing really hard.
Going off on that, I mean, I have mixed opinions about it because, like, I guess this past year, like, I made top 32, and now I'm like, let's keep going. Like, if I can compete with guys now, like, I want to make top 16 next year. Like, hell yeah. But at the same time, I think if we did have separate categories, I think it would encourage more young, aspiring, competitive female beatboxers to enter the scene, because right now I just feel like it's so intimidating. And, like, I'm, you know, out here trying to make it more of an open space and recruit more female beatboxers, and I'm dragging all my friends to events, trying to get them to get up there. I'm working on two female friends right now.
There you go.
But,
good work.
thank you. But, yeah, I just feel like if we did have, you know, a separate category and, like, we were the ones in it, like, we're friendly, right? Like, I feel like we'd also just get more ultrasonics in the scene, you know what I mean?
I feel
so
that way,
it's
too.
just, I just have mixed opinions.
In my opinion, I hope ultimately we all can have one, you know, mixed gender competitions, but it's just hard for me to imagine it now everywhere. Like, maybe in America it's fine, but say worldwide, and these are not correct numbers, but say there's 100 million, you know, males, and then there's 5,000 females.
Yeah.
What are the odds
Yeah.
of getting any females into these competitions? It might be 1, it might be 0, maybe we're lucky we'll get 2, but I feel like that hinders a lot of these new people, these females who want to be beatboxers, are like, well, I just can't get to that level. Whereas if they see more people battling, they have at least the opportunity, and that pushes them to then want to battle, and it pushes them to increase their skills. And I feel like that'll produce more females that way than having not much to see and to view and to inspire too. But I also feel on the opposite side that having mixed pushes the select few who feel confident in themselves to go that extra step and be that good. But how many people are actually that confident in themselves? I'm not sure there's that many.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so I'm kind of on the fence of the whole.
Yeah.
I think having more events like the Beatbox House Party and stuff that
Yeah.
allows you to come in, because I'll say from seeing the rest of the world, on average, our ladies who are here are better. Like, they're really good. Like, the skill level and the standard of the women here is super high, like all of us. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I've seen
competitors right here.
Well,
like,
yeah, and I've seen like what's happened after each of the ladies have battled a man, and then being like, oh, this is what I have to work on. And then they rise, like the bar is set higher. And my only thing is, like, I was talking to the ladies at the French community where they were like, yeah, we don't know. We just don't know if we're good enough yet. And I was like, okay, is there a woman in your scene who's good enough to like battle the guys? And they were like, oh yeah, Flashbox, definitely. And I said, okay, but she can't go over, right? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay, so what happens to Flashbox now? Does Flashbox now have to wait until you all get to a certain level and go over? And they were like, oh, well, that would kind of suck. Now she's like, she can't level up because she's stuck in this box. I'm like, okay, so would you let Flashbox go over? And they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe we have Flashbox go over, but we stay in this thing. And I was like, okay, but then that's not male female anymore. Now it's A B. Now are you gonna let guys at your skill level go over to your category? And then we're like, oh shit. Like it puts you in a weird box because as soon as we separate ourselves, I love what you're saying. We create an event where we can have female only battles, but then it puts you into the national because once you segregate yourself, your best woman is now trapped in that mold and they can't leave until everybody gets better. And what I've seen in competitions like this, like there's been really good girls, but if you only have 4 competitors, if the people below you are not getting better, you're not pushed to, you're just like chilling queen of the jungle over here. Like, I don't have to work on anything, right? So I don't know. I've seen the women here like level up so much. I think that what you're saying is perfect. And honestly, like that was one thing that I questioned about the Swiss beatboxing. Now I think it's great. You know, you want to have your own category. That's great. But what I saw when I asked everyone what their opinion was, I was like, did they reach out to you? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay. And for me, it felt like a group of guys were making a decision on behalf of girls without asking us. And that was the one thing that I was like, oh, that's kind of strange. Like, why would you didn't ask anybody and then you created this separate category? Like, shouldn't you come together? And one thing that was good, like, I think the girls now in the world were talking to each other more and being like, oh yeah, we should like talk to each other about what we want as like a worldwide community so that if this ever happens again, like people can come to.
Don't we have a Facebook group? Isn't there a Facebook group?
Yeah,
Global
Sparks had one.
Female?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Sparks to bring it back.
No, we should.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Swiss Beatbox has a formula that works for them, and the content that they put out is competitive beatboxing. That's what you see in their videos. That's what they focus on, their battles. And I think they're just kind of like, oh, let's like just try it over there. They're not necessarily thinking of, they're not reinventing their wheel per se. However, I think that a lot of beatboxers around here these days are starting to understand like, like why is it always like a battle? Like, can we play with this structure? Can we like do different things? So like, yeah, the Beatbox House Party is doing a lot for that. They're just kind of like, we're gonna play around with this battle structure and you have no idea who you're gonna battle, or you're gonna do a tag team with a complete stranger and just focus on the fun of beatboxing with your community. Think about events like beatbox events don't have to always be battles. They can be other events. That's why I was like, had they said this was going to be a beatbox cipher, I would have been the first one signing up. Ciphers are like my favorite thing. Battles are intimidating for me. But then again, we have people like Jack Nasty, like reinventing the way the battle is. You know, now we're having an Instagram battle where you don't have to go face to face. It might be like better so you can battle in the comfort of your own home.
You can re-record.
Yeah. Or if females are like, we want to have our own community, strengthen the bonds within our like ourselves for us, then we can invent an event where we're playing around, or maybe there is a battle element, or maybe there's just a game element, you know, or there's other things that we can do with beatboxing. It doesn't always have to be the battle.
Yeah, or I was thinking too, like one thing I was thinking, like if it was like a camp thing, instead of making it its own category, what if you did like a tag team where it was a girl and a guy versus a girl and a guy versus a girl and a guy? So it wasn't separate. You still feel a little bit more comfortable because now you have like a partner and a teammate. You're working with somebody who might be more experienced than you, so you're getting more out of it. And then instead of it being separate, now you're really putting people together and like making them work together in a way.
I love that.
That'd be awesome.
I love that.
Well, let's do it.
I even think it like we can even take it to the other extreme, and it could be like girl battle, like girl versus guy battle, and it could just be like every single battle a girl versus a guy, and then it could just be like, like fun, it doesn't have to be like all like technique. It could be like stage and antics, and like girls could be like having their cheer, guys could be having their cheer, and we can like play into that. Like there's so
More
many
theatrical.
there's so many different things that we can do. It doesn't
Or
always
even
have
like
to be.
more fantasy battles where there actually isn't like necessarily a winner, but you get up there and get that practice, on stage. So it's not as much pressure where you're feeling judged so much. It's more for fun. And I remember something Kaila actually said, it might have been in Wood Midwest. She's like, we're not really here for the battle. Like we are, but we're here to come together as a family and to like build off each other and learn. And like, that's what these events are really, really about.
Yeah, it's an excuse.
Yeah, the battle's an excuse to basically get together and learn.
Yep.
So we have 1 minute. This was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Crackbone actually asked a really good question, so I want us to answer it. So let's, maybe his question was, what can we do to make women participate in more event categories? Just become more participatory in the event. So as females, knowing our experience, what's maybe one thing, a piece of advice for the men in our community or organizers around the world that we can do to make women feel more appreciated?
I'll say, first of all, shout out to Crackbone. He was like one of the very first beatboxers that I ever talked to back in like 2012 on Ventrilo, humanbeatbox.com. I would say just like be chill. Don't emphasize the fact that I'm like such a female. You're like, oh, female beatboxer.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm like in the presence of a female person that
Well, I've
also
never
makes
seen
these
that
same
before.
exact
Yeah.
sounds. It's like just like relax about that a little bit more. Just treat me like a beatboxer.
Yeah.
And then it just feels more relaxed in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about ask me if I'll beatbox with you? Like, I've been in this community for like 6 years now, and I think only one male beatboxer has really been like, beatbox with me. And like, that made me feel like, oh my gosh. Like, and not only did he do it, he left space for me to beatbox. And it was Pash. Pash is one of the best beatboxers ever. And like, he like really made me feel like included and like equal. He didn't like, even though Pash is one of the best beatboxers in the world, he was just kind of like, oh, let's jam,
Yeah,
you know?
Cool. Awesome. What do you think, D-Nice?
What they said.
Ditto, she said.
Retweet.
D-Nice with the hard ditto.
It's just hard because I like your question before was like have you seen it change, like the inclusion of females change over time? But like, I honestly didn't watch, like I didn't follow the beatboxing at all before I entered. And my first competition that I ever went to, I was already an artist. I already was on stage beatboxing, so I never got to see that development. I came in right away as a female beatboxer and just experienced all that firsthand right
Yeah.
away. So I didn't get to watch you. I mean, now I've watched the videos, but I didn't get to watch, like, see all the comments in 2015, like, and see that development. So
Well, that's good. That
But-
means that there has been a good
Yeah.
change if it
Yeah.
was easier.
no, for sure. But no, I mean, like, you know, all of my male like beatboxer friends are just so amazing and so inclusive. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to do more collabs, and like, I have a friend who like we both teach lessons now, and we're like exchanging lessons. I'm helping him sing. He's helping me beatbox.
Cool.
You know.
Good
Just really trying to,
collaboration.
they're all really trying to push me. So
I think one thing the community could do also, I've seemed to notice, is that if you are a female beatboxer, they compare you to other female beatboxers. Like they're like, oh, you know this person, and it's always a female. It's not like Verver was
Yeah.
saying,
Or this-
treat us
this
as
girl's
just
better.
a beatboxer. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to be compared to just only compare me to everybody.
wait,
Yeah.
I gotta tell you what actually happened to me. I haven't been compared to a female beatboxer. I've actually been called the female Jean and D-Lo's girlfriend.
Of course, we're everyone's girlfriend, right?
Yeah, how about
So it's
how about
always-
that's one other thing
Yeah.
you can do in this community to make a female feel more included is don't qualify her based off of another male's identity.
Like, I am D-Nice. I'm not
Yeah.
the female Jean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jean's not the male D-Nice. It's just
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah, they would never say that.
We just have
Yeah.
similar styles.
Yeah.
Also, in the future, if there is world champions, the guys aren't called the male world champion. Don't call them the
That's
female
true,
world champs.
yeah.
If you're going to put me in a different category, don't, you know what I'm saying? Everyone's a world champ. Chris is a world champ. They're not like the male tag team world champ. Saro is a world champion. He's not, even they don't even say loop station champ, but when it comes to women, they're very clear to be like, she's not the world champ. She's the female world champ,
Yeah.
you know? So,
It's different.
well, ladies, this has been such a fun day. Thank you so much. I think, more of this is necessary. I would love to hang out with you more and more. We're all based in or around New York City. Where can people find you? Let's do a little promo tag at the end.
At DNiceBBX on TikTok, YouTube, and Insta and Facebook.
Cool.
There you go. Oh, and my email. I have a new email for inquiries. dnicebbx@gmail.com.
Cool, Megan. Where can they
Yeah.
find you?
For solo is the Beatbox Queen for all my social medias. And for Stiletta, it's Stiletta NYC.
Hey, Arabelle, where can they find you?
You can find me at AirLoom Beats, spelled AirLoomBeats. I'm not a vegetable, just so you know. So AirLoom Beats on Instagram and YouTube. And you can follow the Mad Late page, and it's like Mad Late, like MAAAD
Lots of A's.
Late
Awesome.
show on Instagram.
Cool, Verver, where can they find you and listen to your awesome music you've been putting out?
Yes, I am. I just go by Verver on Spotify
Boom.
and iTunes and all that. Instagram is Verver Beatbox, and then I think YouTube is Verver BBX.
Awesome. You guys can find me at Kaila Mullady. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been such a good time. I can't wait for everyone to see the amazing videos we shot today. And for anyone looking at the shirts, you can go on to AmericanBeatbox.com/gear and get yours today. Thank you for being a part of the first podcast. Thank you guys. Talk to you soon.